Alright guys, welcome back to the show. Sorry I haven't been posting anything up for the last couple of weeks. I've actually been away on holidays, but I'm back now and feeling a bit refreshed after a bit of a holiday. And I've got a tactics video, as you would have seen from the video at the start. So, another thing is I've finished off some new models for the Death Guard. So let's start with this guy. So I wanted a more imposing Lord for my Death Guard army. So I cut up one of the Lord of Contagions and created this Terminator Lord, which I'm super happy with how he's turned out. He's badass looking. So I've gone with Combi Plasma, which I did using like a bolter. I think this is off a Primaris guy, the plasma pistol. I've sort of stuck a bolter on the outside and some cords and everything like that, and giving him just a sword. And I've done some like extra bits of green stuff, like some tentacles holding the gun and like coming into his chest plate here, and then just like bits of skin and stuff, as you can see there. And this is I think they're called the Blight Lords. I bought a box set and just done some of these. That's his face. Yeah, he's looking all grossed out and stuff. So that's the guy that's going to be leading the Death Guard from now on. So I thought I'd show him off first. I suppose now we'll get to the army and I'll go through what's in it, and then we'll go over some tactics. Alright, by the way, if you can come up with a name for this guy, I'm more than happy, because he'll be the new leader of the army. Alright, get back to this. Alright guys, here's the list at 1500 points. Bit of a pan over it. She's all painted up and looking good. Finished the second one of these, the Plague Burst Crawl, so it's all done, ready to go. So I've got two of them in the list, all painted up now. The new Terminator Lord in the centre, he's another addition, and I've added in a second foul BLIGHTSPAWN, which I've just done a little bit of stuff to make him slightly different. So just like the helmet and stuff, nothing too crazy. But if I get the other one out, you can just see they're just a little bit different. Different enough just to look on the battlefield. Didn't go too crazy. But when I painted him up first with a normal head and it just looked terrible. So that's what I've done there. Alright, so that's the new additions paint wise. So this comes in at 1500 points. What have we got in the list? We got HQ, so the new Terminator Lord with Combi Plasma, and he's got the Plague Sword. Reasonably cheap, but he's a force multiplier and he looks badass. Malignant Plague Caster is the second one. Then we got 1, 2, 3 units of Plague Marines with plasma on the Sergeant and the Blight launchers on each of them. Then I've added a 15 man unit of Poxwalkers, which had painted up. We've got the Biologus Putrifier in here for elites, then a foul BLIGHTSPAWN and a foul BLIGHTSPAWN, so we've got 3 elites in here. Fast attack, 3 BLIGHTHAULERS, and then we've got Plague Burst Crawler and Plague Burst Crawler. So that's what's in the list at 1500 points. So what I'll do is we'll go over some tactics through the list and how I'm planning on using everything and what my overall goal using the army is. Alright, so tactics and strategy for the overall list. So first off, the things that I've armed my Warlord with, which people have probably heard of before, but it's really effective, is I make the Terminator Lord my Warlord. So then I give him the Arch Contaminator, which is reroll all failed wound rolls when resolving attacks made with plague weapons. Now obviously, if you go through the list, all big majority of the weapons are plague weapons. So on these, the mortars are plague weapons, the spitters are plague weapons. On them, their mouthpieces are plague weapons, spitting and in combat. If you go on the Marines, their grenades are plague weapons, their knives are plague weapons. These two guns, the blight launchers, are plague weapons. The Lord, his sword is a plague weapon. these two biologist putrifiers, their weapons plague weapons. You get the picture. So if you go through it, that means all these weapons are re-rolling to wound. Now to buff that out, I give the Fulgaris helm, because as it's been FAQ'd. So what that does is it lets him have a 10-inch bubble, because it's an extra 3, a 10-inch bubble of re-roll wounds on those weapons. So that means that, you know, you get a tape measure out, you've got pretty much this distance of everything, even a little bit more. I reckon you could stretch it out. So it gives you a bit of room to move. The other thing is he gives re-roll 1s to hit. So that goes up to 9 inches. I have said in the video before it was 10 inches, but then I looked at it and yeah, it's within 6, so an extra 3 makes it 9. So he's got a 9-inch bubble of re-roll 1s and a 10-inch bubble of re-roll all hits, which is the whole force multiplier thing that you want him for. He can fight in combat, and he's also got his combi plasma there to add some shots. I won't be overcharging the combi plasma. I'll probably actually shoot the bolter and the combi plasma, because he'd be hitting on 3s, and at range 18 that'll give him 4 shots. So that's pretty effective as far as I'm concerned, just, you know, and he's also can fight in combat if he has to. Now in one of my battles the other week, one of the big issues that I had was I went up against a Vindicator assassin, and he started trying to ping off characters, and obviously, as you can see looking at the list, if they ping him off, then a lot of it falls apart. So one of the stratagems which I look up, and it's also been FAQ'd, is Cloud of Flies. Now this is selected in the movement phase, so the very first turn you're really going to have to hide him behind something to just block line of sight, especially from things like Vindicators. But this has been FAQ'd that snipers cannot shoot at a unit that has Cloud of Flies on it unless it's the closest unit. So this supersedes just being a character. This actually allows you to put, so I'll be using for 1 CP a turn, if they have something like that, put it on your Terminator Lord. He can't be targeted unless he's the closest unit. And I very highly doubt that someone's going to run at you with a Vindicator Assassin. Or, you know, the other thing is, I can't remember the name of them, but they come in the units of 3, the Space Marine, heavy snipers, things like that. Keep him alive. So you don't have to do that, but that's a little bit of a tactic to help keep him alive if you want to keep him alive. I'll be using it myself, but yeah. So that's the HQ. The second HQ obviously is the Malignant Plaguecaster, which I always go with Miasma of Pestilence and Blades of Putrefaction or Putrefaction. Yeah, it's Putrefaction. Aussie accent, sorry guys. So when using this guy, there's a few ways you can use him. So Miasma of Pestilence just means -1 to hit something. So I usually put it on these haulers at the back, just to keep them alive a little bit longer, make the person work a bit more. Or if I've pushed one of these up front and I really need them to block an area or something, you might put it on that. Just depends, it's very situational. And Blades Putrefaction depends on what's in combat. If your Terminator Lord does happen to get in combat, you can always cast it on him, then give him Veterans of the Long War, and he's going to be causing mortal wounds on 5s and 6s. Plus, it's a power sword as well, so you know it kind of gives him that little boost for magic spell and command point. You can do that. So that's what I do with him, and also he can cast Smite if need be. He also has his staff, so he can join in on the combat, which in other reports that I've done, there's no massive combat monster, but a combination of them will beat the crap out of most things. So that's the 2 HQs and their roles. Now, the 3 troops, this is the best way I've found to run Plague Marines, is 5-man unit. You definitely want the 2 Blight launchers. And then if you've got the points, put the plasma on the champion. Jeez, lost words. It's up to you guys. It's 11 points. It gives them extra shooting in the group. It's definitely worth it. Yeah, but it's up to you. The other thing is, I don't do it, but there is the argument of the other guys in the back that have just got bolt guns. I always do eventually end up in combat, so as to whether just giving them 2 plague knives for free just for extra close combat, and then it'll also, because their plague weapons go off this guy. So you'll be getting extra attacks with rerolls to wound. Could come in handy. But then for the times where you don't get in combat, the bolt gun. So depending on how you're playing, it's up to you guys. But yeah, I've gone with the bolt guns, but I have thought about it. We'll see how I go later on down the track. So that's them three. I've added these guys in because in a few games, so the Poxwalkers, honestly, a lot of people rave about them. I think if you're taking them, you're taking mass blobs of 20 and you're taking heaps of them. I don't like playing that way because I find them quite boring models. But for me, they do have a place in sitting on backfield objectives, or creating a screen is probably the most common way I would use them. They're cheap, they don't fall back. So if the enemy does want to remove them, they've really got to concentrate firepower into them. Well, not that much. They're pretty much a guardsman with disgustingly resilient. They're not invincible. Don't let people tell you they are. But I've put them in there because obviously this big bubble sort of moves around, and I needed something that wasn't part of the bubble that could sit on objectives. The other thing too is the reason I've gone for a 15-man unit is I might be able to string them out across 2 backfield objectives if need be, something along those lines. Or in a battle, use them as a screen. But that's it for them. Alright, so then going over to the elites, the biologist Putrifier. I've put him in there because I always get within range 6 of things with this army for some reason, whether they come to me or I eventually make it to them. And every single unit can throw a grenade. So that comes back to like these units here where you still got your launchers and stuff, and then the guys with the bolt guns can just fling a grenade. And he gives them +1 strength to your grenade, so he makes them strength 4 and he makes them 2 damage. The other thing he also does is on 6s, they cause mortal wounds. So it's pretty brutal for something that's just like one model. What he actually adds through, you know, throughout your entire army. Like the blight racks, yeah. So anything on a 6+ made is a mortal wound. Obviously you can use Veterans of the Long War on this too to buff it up. So there's a few little things you can do there with that. Stratagem again, if you want to throw multiple grenades, people would argue and say you need really big units of plague marines. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, it's up to you. Where have we got, what's that called? Blight Bombardment. So for a command point, you can get an entire unit to throw grenades. So if you work close enough and he was there, you can do that. Other than that, he doesn't do a great deal. He explodes if you kill him. That's pretty cool. But yeah. So moving along, we've got 1, 2 foul blight spawns. If you watch any of my battle reports, every single time the foul blight spawn, this one just puts in work. So I've given him a brother over here. Now there'll be 2 of them. The beauty of these things is their weapons are AP 3 damage no matter what. The strength can vary and the number of shots can vary, but it's always AP 3 flat 3 damage, which is just brilliant. Now with this guy's Arch Contaminator, they get full rerolls of wounds being near him. So you've got a range 9 auto hitting flamer that can be up to strength 12 because it's 2d6 strength. And then, yeah, you just imagine, I've killed Commander Pask, like I've literally run across the battlefield and blown Commander Pask off the battlefield 1 hit. Oh, sorry, I rolled a 6, I think I rolled strength 10, automatic hits, re-rolling 1s to wound because I wasn't near Arch Contaminator, so, but you get the picture, you can really blow stuff away. The other thing is that's coming into battle so many times is anything that charges doesn't count as charging when these things here. So by spreading them out to either side, you really create this barrier across your army where you can really control the charge phase. So it's a real counter-attack sort of thing. The other thing that they come into is they get Unholy's Death's Head each, which is 2d6 grenades. So when they're near this guy, they don't have to throw it either, remember that. So the guy out of this unit can throw their Unholy Death's Head, he buffs the grenade, you get multiple hits. You get the picture, it's a lot of grenade damage. So as you can see, there's a lot of synergy with these units in the middle. Snipers can pick them off. The good thing is with Disgustingly Resilient and Toughness 5, even with mortal wounds and things, you're still getting some saves. Alright, now moving on to the other core component is these 3 MYPHETIC Blighthaulers. I suggest that anyone playing Death Guard at least get 1 unit of 3. These things have put so much work into my list as a whole. So, yes, the weapons seem really odd at first, but once you start to get the feel for them and what they do is, the first thing they do, is by having a unit of 3 can spread out. Now any units wholly within 7 of them get +1 to their save. So all your Marines have now got a 2-up save because they got cover. Obviously there's things that ignore cover, but that's neither here nor there. The other thing they do is they give much needed long range fire support. So when there's 3 of them, they're hitting on 3s. So you got rockets. Rockets are really good. I find them to probably be one of the best heavy weapons. Strength 8, AP2, D6 damage, or you can fire D6 strength 4 shots. So depending on what you're hunting, you got some really good range. They got a multi-melter on them as well, which is range 24, which you will be getting in range with it. I've used it every time. And then on top of that, they can fight in combat. Their jaws are, they got 3 attacks each, strength 6, AP2, 1 damage. And the other thing is they can spit as well. Now remember that they're also plague weapons with their mouths, so with this guy, rerolling 1's to hit, rerolling's to wound. In combat they're also -1 to hit. It's actually quite dangerous when people get to your gun line, they think, oh, I'll just tie your vehicle down and smash them up. Not the case at all. So giving long range fire support as you're moving up, then mid-range fire support, and then close range fire support, plus close combat. And they are tough as nails. They're tough 7. They've got a 5-up invuln and disgustingly resilient, 8 wounds apiece. Brilliant models. They can move and fire their heavy weapons without any penalty as well, which is another bonus. So get a set of them. Then we got 1, 2 of these. I was running drones for a while, but these things are a little bit cheaper than drones and they give a little bit more versatility to what I'm trying to do. I believe in every army you need a unit that can hit things that are out of line of sight. So you've got the 2 big cannons on the back that can provide you some of that. Then they're also plague weapons, so re-rolling to wound. So they're hitting on 4s if you sit still, but you're getting re-roll 1s because of the Terminator Captain and full re-roll of wounds. Makes them a little bit more effective. It's not that effective, don't get too excited about it. Where the real effectiveness is these plague spitters. So pushing them forward and just spitting them on people. Same again, similar to this. Automatic hits, full re-roll of wounds, 2d6 per tank. They're tough 8, demon save 5-up, disgustingly resilient 12 wounds. Really hard to move off the battlefield. And the beauty of them is you can sit them close together and really block movement for the enemy. So if you put them in front of your army, they're better than any poxwalkers for blocking. And if someone wants to charge them, you've got range 9 flamers on them. Won't help against deep strikers, but any other thing that's coming at you is going to try and get close first. So there's a little bit of a look. Overall, you can see really tough army can take the hits. Synergizing, buffing you up to 2+ save, tough vehicles. And the key thing that really works is it's got a lot of firepower in here. Once you hit that 24 mark, you're really pumping out shots, and then as you get closer, your firepower just increases. So that's the army at the moment. If you've got any feedback or things you'd like to add to it, or things you'd like to see me paint up, I am looking at getting Mortarian. It's an and an ahhing thing. We all know that eventually I'm going to get him. It's just the way things go. So that's the list. The other thing too is, apparently my channel's been up for a year according to a video I was checking the other day. So thanks for everyone for supporting the channel for this year that I've been up, and hopefully get something out of this. As per usual, the bat reps will be back on this Saturday, so I'll be filming a couple of them and I'll be getting them back into the rhythm of things now that I'm back from holidays. So if you like this, like and subscribe. Hope you get something out of this, and cheers guys. Have a good night.